As a parent, have you ever asked yourself or doubted or second guessed the consequences you gave your kids for something they did? I don't like to use the word punishment because we really want to understand there's consequences for good and for bad, but have you ever second guessed them and thought, am I too hard? Am I not hard enough? Well, I want to talk about, in this series of videos, consequences that work at any age. Consequences that work at any age.
Yo, hello, Mr. Brown. Hello, Mr. Brown. Hello, Mr. Brown.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mr. Brown with HelloMrBrown.com and the Choose Well program. And I love talking to students. And my number one topic is choices are the puzzle pieces of life. That every choice we make will make us who we are. Therefore, it's important to choose well. And if you've been a part of our program, your kids have been a part of our program, I always say choose well, and they say, oh, yeah. Well, as parents, this idea of choices mattering hits us right square in the face. Every choice we make will make us who we are, will make our kids who they are. And not only that, some of us getting old enough to know it's going to impact our grandkids very, very soon. So I want to talk about 3 consequences that really work at any age. 3 consequences. Now, I'm going to give you 3 right away because some people like to lead you on and make you watch all 3 videos. I'm going to give you all 3 right now. If you want to watch the rest of the videos, great. If not, run with the 3. First one, and they're more not actually consequences like make them clean their room. They're more type of consequences. How do you customize them in a way or make them apply to each situation? It's going to be different. But here are the 3 type of consequences. Number 1, they need to be explained consequences. Number 2, customized consequences. And number 3, memorable consequences. So those are 3 type of consequences I think that will work at any age. So this video, I'm gonna talk about the first one, that is explained. Now, when I say explained, I mean we need to explain the consequence ahead of time. We needed to work up front with our kids before we dish out the consequence. And not just telling them. See, we can express them and tell them, hey, this is going to happen, but that don't mean they heard us, right? So I think it's so important that we explain the consequence over and over again, and we must stay on top of it. One of the things I do with my kids all the time, and we've been doing this for a couple of years now with them, is when they ask us for something, before I answer them often, I say, what will you say if I say no? What is going to be your response if I say no? And sometimes I know I'm going to say yes. I know up front is going to be a yes. But I want them to understand this. If they're not able to receive a no, they're not able to receive a yes. Because sometimes we want to keep our kids happy and we want them to not embarrass us in public, right? It's not about that. It's about them growing and understanding that there will be times they have to say no. So my kids know what the consequences are if they misbehave, if they don't respond in a certain way. But we have to stay on top of these things, especially when you have a long day. I have young kids, and sometimes we have a long day. When it's time for bedtime, I give them I preempt them, hey, it's going to be bedtime pretty soon, and this is what I expect from you, and this needs to happen. Do you understand? Okay. You give an okay. And I think it's so important to do that because this way they can't get mad at you as the enemy. I don't care if they're 15, 17, if they're still living in your house and you explain the consequences very clearly and they tell back to you what the consequence is. When they cross that line, they can't blame you. It's them. They're responsible. And I think by explaining consequences up front, it gives your kids the opportunity to stand up and be responsible for themselves. And you don't have to be the bad guy because you can always say, did you know what was going to happen before? Did you understand that if you didn't come home at a certain time that you would not be able to drive the car? Did you understand that? Okay, great. And parents, please try some time to remove yourself from the emotions out of it. Because when they get mad and sassy, you get mad and sassy. Now everybody getting mad and sassy, and then everybody upset. You don't have to get upset. They knew the rule. You knew the rule. Hey, they broke the rule. They have a problem. Don't make their problem your problem. Just smile and say, I'm sorry that you broke that rule, and thank you for the keys, and maybe you'll see them in a couple months. Whatever the consequence will be, but it has to be explained up front. I think that is so important. So whatever that looks like to you and your kids, no matter what age they are, take the time and do the work up front to explain these consequences. Now, one more thing about explaining consequences, I think it's so important to make sure that you follow through with those consequences too. You can do all explaining in the world, but if you show yourself not to be consistent and not to follow through, then they're going to have a problem with it, not receiving that well. So make sure that you as a parent not only explain them, but you're willing to follow through. I remember this kind of applies, but it's a funny story. One afternoon after kids came home from school, we're making snacks, and my kids, like their daddy, love popcorn. We eat a lot of popcorn as a family. So I made some popcorn, and right before I made it, I asked Evan, did he want popcorn or did he want applesauce? Now the applesauce was ready right then and there. The popcorn was going to take a little while, and so I told him, you only get to choose one. Either applesauce or the popcorn. And he said he wanted applesauce. I said, Evan, are you sure? Because once the popcorn was made, he started smelling it. Me and Sophia started eating it. He was going to want some. And sure enough, he said, I want the applesauce. Well, popcorn was made. Me and Sophia started eating it. And the brother changed his mind. He wanted popcorn. And I wanted so bad to give him popcorn because I love the fact that me and my kids sit on the couch and watch Paw Patrol and eat popcorn. I love it. But I explained up front what would happen. And so even though I wanted to give him popcorn, I had to say no to teach him a valuable lesson. And that kind of goes back to when my parents used to tell me, this is going to hurt me more than hurt you. That kind of hurt me. I wanted to share popcorn with my son, but I had to follow through. It's so important. So again, we're going to talk about 3 consequences that work, or 3 type of consequences that work at every age. Number 1, explained. Number 2, customized. Number 3, memorable. So join me for the next video. We talk about the customized type of consequence for your child. So thanks for joining me, and watch the next video because hopefully it'll be just as good as this one. Oh yeah.